Hello and welcome back to my Grand Prix 2 career mode, driving as the fictional Franz Bermbach for Brabham, though right now Bermbach is out with a lengthy injury. He has, however, been released from hospital and is now recovering back home in Germany. The Brabham team are discussing the possibility of keeping Modena in the car for the whole season, regardless of when Bermbach will be fit to race again, citing Modena's great start to the year. Speaking of great start, Riccardo Patrese has had a fantastic first 5 races and now boasts the championship lead. His win in Phoenix was the Italian's first victory since the end of 1983 and just shows what performance the veteran still has. His teammate Thierry Boutsen was devastated after losing victory late on in the USA, though despite that he was reportedly happy to see Patrese win, as well as the upturn in car performance. Bertrand Gachot has successfully lobbied his 2-race ban and has shortened it to just 1 race, which means he'll be returning to the Onyx seat this weekend. Nakajima is thankful for the opportunity he had at Onyx, and rumour has it that he is working his way up and down the paddock to find a way back onto the grid. Onyx have a bigger problem on their hands though, with the Swede of Stefan Johansson questioning the team's credentials after starting the year with 5 straight retirements. If tensions continue to rise, the play may be to put Nakajima in Johansson's place for the rest of the year. The biggest talking point though is to be found at McLaren, with Ayrton Senna reportedly looking elsewhere. Williams is said to be very interested in the Brazilian services, though McLaren are confident that it's only a lull in relations and things will shortly get back on track. Good news for Senna will be that McLaren have brought a big upgrade package for this weekend, more power and less weight. Benetton, Arrows and Lotus have all focused on reliability improvements, whilst Zakspeed and Coloni have further tuned their car for qualifying pace amidst their pre-qualifying efforts. And that is all for the news. I'm sure some people would argue Gachot's return is, well, it's earlier than it should have been, but he's going to be the first driver to set a time in this session of 14.9. That's what everybody has to chase. Winkelhock, 18 flat, really slow from him. Martin Brundle goes to the top though, 14.5. As his teammate Stefano Modena goes a 15.3. That's 8/10 slower than his teammate Brundle and slots into 3rd place. And then the upgraded Zakspeed Bernd Schneider in 4th position right now, as we've had 8 drivers set a lap time. Volker Weidler in 5th, Tarquini 6th, and then it's Johansson 7th and Winkelhock in 8th place. Make that 9th place now as Larini goes 5th. Gregor Wojtek in 11th position. Roberto Moreno in the upgraded Coloni. Coloni taking upgrades this weekend. He's in 9th place. And Andrea De Cesare is on his lap with a bit of traffic. Seems to be one of the Ocellas in the way. He still goes into 5th place though. Nice improvement here from Gachot. Is it enough for the top spots? Well, no, it is not. He stays in 2nd place, not actually improving in the final sector. And what can Heinrich Krings do on his 2nd race weekend? The German driving for the upgraded Zakspeed this afternoon. Could he challenge his teammate Bernd Schneider? Let's find out. Up towards the line for Heinrich Krings. It's 5th place right now, and it is just slower than his teammate by about 7/10 of a second. Alex Caffey into 6th place on his first lap for the Dallara team, and this is Bernd Schneider. I think he is starting a flying lap. He's already in 4th place. He's looking to improve. Pierre-Henriette Raffinel is last, 17th place and last place, and he remains in 17th and last place. So Johansson moves up to 5th, even though he's being held up by Heinrich Krings on his lap. So Krings pushed down to 6th position. And that'll just about bring an end to the session, as the cloud cover over the circuit may be not favouring track improvement. Martin Brundle tops the session for Brabham. He is 5/10 of a second clear of Bertrand Gachot on his return for Onyx. Stefano Modena in the 2nd, Brabham in 3rd place. Then we have Bernd Schneider with his teammate Heinrich Krings in 6th place. It means Zakspeed make it into the main qualifying session. Stefan Johansson in the Onyx there. So it is going to be Brabham, Onyx, and of course Zakspeed. Alex Caffey and Andrea De Cesare just missing out, 7th and 8th place. Not good for Dallara ahead of Dana and Larini. Then we have Weidler, Tarquini, Wojtek, Moreno, Ginzani, Winkelhock and Raffinel. So even with Coloni's upgrades, they're still one of the slowest teams out there. Welcome to the Saturday qualifying session in beautiful sunny conditions here in Canada. The Friday session was rained out, with the best time being Ayrton Senna's 1:17, which if we go back to the pre-qualifying session, a 1:17 would have been good enough for 10th place. So really, this Saturday session, this 20-minute session that we have now, is going to determine the starting grid. And it'll be Stefano Modena, the driver who was third in pre-qualifying, the first driver to set a time here. And that right now is provisional pole position of 15.4. And swiftly beaten by Alain Prost with a 12.8. And that is the pole position time right now. Palmer is in 4th place. Capelli goes up to 2nd place with his first lap on the board. We look to see what Eddie Cheever can do. And Cheever only 6th with that one. And he's quickly beaten by Thierry Boutsen up to 2nd place for Boutsen. That's 4/10 adrift of what Alain Prost set. Martin Brundle, can he beat Modena's time of a 15.4? No, he cannot. A 16.3 from Brundle. Pretty poor considering what we know he's capable of. The two Zakspeeds do unfortunately have the wrong helmet. I forgot to change the helmets for the Zakspeeds. And 9th place for Bernd Schneider with that one. That's the slowest of all the drivers so far. As Nannini jumps up to 4th place. Gerhard Berger, the Ferrari, is usually a good customer in qualifying. Berger there, 3rd position. Riccardo Patrese, the championship leader. Can he challenge for pole position? Well, it's 3rd place right now. 6/10 adrift of Prost. 2/10 adrift of his teammate Thierry Boutsen. And Prost looking to improve, but he's had traffic with Stefano Modena in the way. So Prost is not going to better his previous time. And Brundle goes a few tenths quicker. He's still slower than Stefano Modena though. Just by 0.5 of a second. John Alesi's had a lot of traffic on his first lap in the session. The onyx of Johansson being in the way. Alesi's time is still good enough for 5th place though. A really strong lap time there from John Alesi. As we see Martini slot into 9th position behind. What about Martin Donnelly? He's towing Olivier Grillard away quite well there down the back straight. And Donnelly on his 3rd appearance in Formula 1 now. He'll cross the line to move up to 17th position. A really slow lap time. What about Luis Perez Sala in the 2nd Minardi? He goes to 15th place. Perez Sala with that lap. So it's a little bit slower than his teammate, but not too bad at all. And Senna with huge traffic on his lap. He's stuck behind the LaRousse. He's only 16th with that one, a 15.9. He'll have to find a better time. We're still waiting for Piquet Gougelmin and Johansson to set lap times. Right now, though, both Zakspeeds are actually faster than a couple of the other drivers. We have Schneider in 22nd. And we have Krings in 25th place. As Johansson goes 26th with his latest lap. We heard in the news that Senna apparently looking elsewhere for 1990. And he's not happy at the McLaren team. And that's to be expected because Senna's had a really poor start to the year. 4 retirements in the first 5 races. He did have that victory at the 2nd round at San Marino. But he is a distance off the championship lead right now. Sitting down in 7th place in the championship. And he's got more traffic on this lap with Gougelmin in the March. Parked right in front of him, his fellow countryman. Senna, though, across the line, 2nd place with that lap. He really pulled it out of the bag when it was required, though he is a 10th slower than his teammate Alain Prost. And that's Mansell in 4th position now, just behind Thierry Boutsen and Nigel Mansell. He was lacking pace in the previous round. He wasn't sure where that pace was gone. Maybe just not comfortable with the car as much as he had hoped. Still just trying to get to grips with the Ferrari. And Senna up by 0.2 of a second on his previous best lap through the first 2 sectors. Provided he's staying out and not boxing, this could be pole position going to the Brazilian. And he boxes. Senna boxes at the end of his lap. So I think that is going to gift pole position to his teammate Alain Prost. So with 6 minutes left in the session, I don't think he's going to get out there again. So it's Alain Prost who claims pole position ahead of his teammate Ayrton Senna by less than 1/10 of a second. Riccardo Patrese, the championship leader, in 3rd alongside his teammate Thierry Boutsen. And then it's the 2 Ferraris, Mansell ahead of Berger. Jean Alesi lines up in 7th place today. He's alongside 3-time world champion Nelson Piquet, Derek Warwick and Ivan Capelli rounding out the top 10. Capelli, that's really good from him, 10th place. Martin Donnelly, 11th, not too bad from him. Still a little bit behind his Lotus teammate, but not bad with 11th place on the grid. He's alongside the Benetton of Alessandro Nannini. And then it's Gougelmin and Martini, 13th and 14th place. Johnny Herbert out-qualified by Nannini today. He's in 15th alongside fellow British driver Jonathan Palmer. Stefano Modena and Martin Brundle, the 2 Brabhams, on row number 9. Then we have Eddie Cheever and Luis Perez Sala rounding out the top 20. Olivier Grillard and Bertrand Gachot on the following grid. Gachot returning to the grid after a race out, of course. So he's then replaced Nakajima. Stefan Johansson and Bernd Schneider makes it onto the grid, with Eric Bernard and Philippe Allier being the final row there. So that is a Zakspeed on the starting grid for the Sunday race, and it means Heinrich Krings and René Arnoux both failed to qualify. Well, there's only one more thing to do, and that's go racing. The 1989 Canadian Grand Prix is next. And here we are on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix. 69 laps of racing lie in front of the drivers. The lights appearing in front of them now. When they extinguish, the Canadian Grand Prix will be underway. Alan Prost on pole position. He's on the right-hand side. And that's Senna with a much better start to take the lead into turn 1. That is Prost in second place. Wow, what a move from Nigel Mansell up the inside of both Williams drivers into turn 1. Mansell up a few positions into third, followed by Thierry Boutsen, Patrese and Gerhard Berger, the top 6. Nelson Piquet and Jean Alesi remain in 7th and 8th position off the start. And Prost already going on the attack on the halfway distance on this opening lap. And up the inside goes the Frenchman to retake the race lead already. Incredible battling for the victory today between the two McLaren boys. In fact, Senna's dropped back big time. He's under pressure now from Nigel Mansell, the Ferrari driver. Sides his way to the inside for the hairpin. He's up to second place. Senna, who went to first off the start, is now down to third. Boutsen and Patrese, the two Williams now looking to go wheel to wheel in the final corner. Patrese makes it through on his teammate. That's the championship leader, of course, Riccardo Patrese. Currently 2 points ahead of Prost in the championship. But this battle not done yet. Is Boutsen going to try and retake that place? No, he thinks better of it. So it's Boutsen down to 5th place, just ahead of Gerhard Berger in 6th. And Senna has re-overtaken Mansell in 2nd place. So it is once again a McLaren 1-2. Prost already with a 1.5 second gap back to his teammate. This could be Prost's second victory of the season. He won the opening round in Brazil, but has not reached or tasted victory since then. As that's Piquet side by side with, that's Derek Warwick on the inside. So Warwick up to 7th. Piquet down to 8th. Alesi down to 10th. So both the drivers who started on the 4th row of the grid dropping positions. And now Nannini shaping up for a move on Piquet. Can't quite make it through there into the final chicane. Might leave him vulnerable to Alesi behind, as we're currently looking at Ivan Capelli. Just ahead of Martin Donnelly. And that's Mauricio Gugelmin behind as well. They're almost going 3 wide down the main straight. Gugelmin makes it past on the Lotus and also up the inside of his teammates. So a brilliant double overtake there from the Brazilian. As now Modena putting a move on Ivan Capelli as well. Capelli could be on a higher fuel load. Who knows why that is the realistic performance from him right now. Prost setting the pace out front, 2.6 clear of Senna as we've started lap 4. It is Prost, Senna, Mansell, the top 3, Boutsen, Patrese and Berger completing the top 6. It's 7th place right now for Derek Warwick. He's ahead of Alessandro Nannini with Alesi and Piquet 9th and 10th. They've switched around positions, so Piquet really dropping throughout this race, like we have seen him do on a number of occasions this season. Herbert in 11th, followed by Martini, and then we have Gugelmin and Modena. Modena now the lead Brabham on the grid. Eddie Cheever in 15th place ahead of Ivan Capelli, who's been passed by another driver. Then it's Jonathan Palmer, Martin Donnelly, Martin Brundle and Olivier Grillard rounding out the top 20. We still have all 26 drivers in the race, with Bernd Schneider, the Zaxby, making his first start of the year. He's in 25th position right now, just ahead of Eric Bernard. And now Piquet started to fight his way back through, just putting a move there on Derek Warwick for 8th position. And it's a fantastic track for overtaking. Really, really does serve the purpose of Formula 1 really well. As up the inside, there goes Martin Brundle. Monaco have extended their license with Formula 1, or I don't know what you'd actually call it, a license, a contract, all the way to the year 2000. So we'll definitely see a lot more Monaco Grand Prix in the coming years, which I'm definitely a fan of. Great circuits. Alessandro Nannini there in 7th position, looking to score his first points since Brazil. He finished 5th on the first race of the season, just behind his teammate Johnny Herbert, but he's not scored any points since then and languishes down in 11th place in the championship. Senna now 5 seconds behind his teammate, and there were rumours after the previous round of Senna's, what was that, 4th retirement in a row for Ayrton Senna? Or the 4th retirement in 5 races for the Brazilian. That there was a massive argument between him and some of the higher-ups at McLaren, including Ron Dennis. And the latest rumour I've heard is that Williams are now interested in the services of Ayrton Senna. And who wouldn't be? Williams right now, we're not the strongest of lineups, saying that Patrese is leading the championship. Oh, there's a spin there for Martini. He's collected by Modena on the rejoin. Let's see if we can get a replay of that one. So, coming down into turn 1, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, he just loses it there. A full 360, only losing a couple seconds of time. Gets rear-ended by Modena for his troubles. Now, what does Senna do, though? I imagine if things don't start to improve in the next few races, those rumours will become a reality, and we'll see a bit of news developing about him in talks with another team. Whether that'll be Williams or not remains to be seen, as Modena now putting a move on Pierluigi Martini, who might be a bit shaken up after his latest spin. Whilst Berger's slightly running wide at turn 1 as well, so it's not just Martini and the Minardi making a mistake, it's even the great of... he's not a great though, is he? He's a great driver, but not one of the greats, Gerhard Berger. The Benettons have one of the strongest cars in race trim. That's what I've heard around the paddock at least. Qualifying trim, not quite there yet, but race trim and their car in race pace is up there with some of the very best. Maybe it's just their drivers who are under-delivering slightly. Can't be too hard on Johnny Herbert, he's a rookie of course. Alessandro Nannini, we expect better of him though. Donnelly putting a move there on Jonathan Palmer, so he's up to... Oh! What's that? Is that a mistake from John Alesi there? Must have been a mistake from John Alesi. And now Cheever challenging his teammate Warwick into the chicane at the end of the lap. As the 2 arrows go wheel to wheel. Apparently Cheever might be heading off to a kart for next season. The rumour is he's signed a contract with Chip Ganassi Racing, but that's yet to be confirmed. That could be an attributing factor to why he's been racing quite carefree as of late, picking up penalties, of course, in Mexico, and he should have probably got a penalty in Phoenix as well, his home Grand Prix. And that's Gachot into the pits on lap number 11, so he's the first driver to box. Bertrand Gachot missing out on the previous round due to his race ban for the incident with Franz Bermbach back in Mexico. And on the list of regulation changes for 1990, one of them being included is the mirrors size to be increased on cars for better visibility. And that might be attributed to Gachot's mistake. We assume it was a mistake with his incident with Bermbach in Mexico, which caused Bermbach to suffer that horrendous leg break. As Senna puts a lap on Bernd Schneider, it's the first look we have of the Zach Speed in a race this year. Schneider doing well right now, even though he is down in second to last place. Nigel Mansell also making his way through some of the traffic. As we reach lap number 17, it's still Prost leading Senna. The gap now 9 seconds. Mansell a further 4 seconds back in third place. And then we have Thierry Boutsen and Riccardo Patrese, with Gerhard Berger still completing the points. So no change up at the front. Nannini only a second behind Gerhard Berger as they start lap 17. Herbert 3 seconds behind his teammate in 8th, followed by Piquet and Alesi, with Eddie Cheever and Derek Warwick, the 2 arrows 11th and 12th. Then we have Gugelmin, Modena, Martini and Donnelly, with Palmer, Capelli, Brundle and Johansson completing the top 20. 22 drivers remain on the lead lap, with Grillard that 22nd position. As we look at Thierry Boutsen in 4th position, you can just about see Nigel Mansell in the Ferrari just in front of him. The gap is really coming down. Mansell maybe starting to struggle on his tyres. He made that fantastic start to the race up the inside of both Williams in the first corner. Briefly got past Ayrton Senna as well, but that has fallen apart as the race has progressed. Mansell, though, he was... Oh! Martin Brundle off! Martin Brundle off in the first sector. That's an engine failure for the Brabham car. That's Brundle's first retirement of the season. It's going to be the first time he's classified outside the top 10. He's had such a great start to the year. Very consistent. But that's come undone here. And yellow flags are waving. Boutsen up to third because Nigel Mansell has just gone into the pits. So Nigel Mansell, I thought maybe he was carrying a lot of fuel and that's why he was starting to struggle against the Williams. No. He was actually on quite little fuel. Pitting on lap 18 indicates probably a 3-stop strategy for the British driver. Yes, on the topic of Mansell, he was at a loss for the lack of pace he saw in the previous round as Palmer runs wide at the final corner. Mansell was a second slower than Berger in qualifying at the United States Grand Prix and finished over half a minute behind him, behind his teammate in the race as well. So he was really lacking pace. As the leader Alain Prost in on the end of lap 20, that means Senna's going to take the race lead. And this is where we're really going to find out what the strategy is today. Is Senna extending to a 1-stop strategy? Maybe he's in a net first place. If he's on a 2-stop, I think he's still a net second place behind his teammate Prost. That's Gugelmin after his stop, putting a move on Olivier Grillard for 19th. Prost has rejoined after his stop in 4th position, just ahead of Gerhard Berger. And off into the gravel at the hairpin, that's Olivier Grillard. He was just passed by a fast-moving Gugelmin, and now Grillard, it's a transmission issue for the Frenchman. He's out of this race. And another issue there, that's Martin Donnelly, who retired at Phoenix after a lap 1 incident in which he called his rivals rookies or amateurs in a very, very strongly worded interview after the race. He's just retired here with an engine problem. And Gachot been continuing to make progress. That is up the inside of Stefan Johansson for 15th position. And I've got to say, Boutsen looking really quick at the moment. Senna leads Thierry Boutsen by 4 seconds as they went across the line. And that is Thierry Boutsen in second place. There's a few cars, back markers between him and the race leader Ayrton Senna, which he needs to make his way through. Gerhard Berger was in the pits on the previous lap. He's down to 10th position. Alain Prost right now about 13 seconds off the race lead. So that's the gap he needs to start closing if indeed he is making one more stop than his teammate Ayrton Senna. Senna across the line to stop lap 26. Boutsen is the car behind him. Prost now almost within 10 seconds of his teammate. We'll see the gap when they cross the line. It's 4.4 to Boutsen. So Boutsen really starting to catch. 9.6 to Prost. Senna starting to struggle out there. And this is Alain Prost going slowly. Alain Prost, who we thought was the main target for victory today, he's retiring from the race. McLaren's reliability woes continue. It's his third retirement in the first 6 rounds of the season. And what does that mean for the championship? Well, it means right now Patrese would be extending his lead over Prost in the World Championship. To put that into perspective, the McLaren team have contested 12 races, 2 drivers in 6 races each. And they've had 7 retirements in those races. So we look at Ayrton Senna, who right now is going swimmingly in first position. He's made his way through another batch of back markers. Riccardo Patrese will be very happy to know that Alain Prost is out the race. Patrese, 3 podiums this year so far. The victory last time out at Phoenix, his first victory since the last round of 1983. And it's given him the championship lead yet again this year. And that's Nannini on the inside of Derek Warwick through the final chicane to make up a position into 7th goes Nannini. That's after a pit stop as well. So Nannini has already stopped. Alesi in 6th position, yet to stop in the race, we believe. And Piquet in 5th, also yet to stop. And Stefan Johansson, who has had such a terrible run of things with mechanical reliability this year, is going to be out of yet another race. That is Johansson's 6th retirement in 6 races. He's reportedly very unhappy at the team and doesn't trust the team to deliver a car that can actually reach the checkered flag. And that's an oil leak for Johansson. Maybe sabotage. Surely not sabotage, but that's maybe what Johansson will be thinking at this stage. There's another yellow flag out there in the middle sector. And I think that is Alessandro Nannini. Terrible. Oh, he's facing the wrong way. Facing the wrong way, and he's going to have to get that car turned around, which he eventually does, and he's going to get going again. Let's take a replay and see what happened. So into the chicane goes Alessandro Nannini, who's running in 5th place. He just lost it. He lost it on the exit there, spins the car around, and that's essentially ruined his race. Alessandro Nannini, who I said was underperforming, especially compared to his rookie teammate Johnny Herbert. And Nannini, who was maybe on course for some more points for the first time since Brazil, is now going to be a lap down and outside the top 10. Okay, the game has bugged slightly, so the tyre squeal I can hear of Alessandro Nannini spinning the car around is just constant now. And I imagine that'll stay for the rest of the race. Don't worry, I fixed it. I had to just change a few camera angles, go on board and then off board again. It's fixed that issue. Well, all the retirements means Bernd Schneider now in 21st position. If he wants to climb up above any of the other drivers who have actually completed a race, he'd have to beat Alex Caffey's 17th place finish. Of course, if he just reaches the checker flag, whatever position, he'll be ahead of Stefan Johansson in the championship, because Johansson failing to score any recorded finish this year. As we have reached half race distance, the standings look like this. Senna first, Patrese now up to 2nd because Boutsen has just boxed on the end of the previous lap. Boutsen now in 3rd, ahead of Nelson Piquet. Nigel Mansell, Gerhard Berger, the 2 Ferraris in the points right now. Then it's Johnny Herbert, the final driver on the lead lap. Is that Gerhard Berger slowing down? It is, I think. I think that's a Ferrari of Gerhard Berger pulling to a stop. He might be out of this race. Well, he's still crawling down the back straight. I have a feeling it's a... Oh no, I think he is stopping. I think that is Gerhard Berger out of the race now. It is. So Berger retires, and that'll be the 6th retirement today. It puts Schneider in 21st place eventually. So everybody now circulates the track past the stricken Ferrari. Gerhard Berger, the man third in the championship, who's on a good run of form as of late. Won in Mexico, second place in Phoenix, and now it's going to be back to the retirement. Not the retirement home, he's not that old, but back to the retirement. As now Patrese boxes on the following lap. So Boutsen back up to second, Patrese third. They're definitely on a one-stop strategy, making it half race distance. Still yet to see Senna in the pits, but I imagine any lap now we will see the Brazilian head for pit lane. Thierry Boutsen rounding the final corner. Senna in the pits now, and Senna just rejoining in front. Senna now has a lot of traffic in front of him though, and the gap between the top two has come down to around about 2 seconds. I'm sure the race director will eventually show the battle for the lead. And here is the battle for the lead. It's Capelli and Gougelmin and one of the LaRouche drivers all in the way of Ayrton Senna. You can just about see Senna in the background there trying to make his way through, trying to funnel his McLaren through all this backmarker traffic. And Boutsen now ready to pounce. Boutsen right on the back of Senna as they head into the hairpin. We have to keep with this lead battle for a bit of time at least. That's Capelli moving out of the way of Senna, and now Boutsen will surely put a move on him into this chicane, and he does. And there's still one car between them both. I think that's Eric Bernard in the LaRousse. I said Nelson Piquet boxing from 5th place for his one and only stop. He's rejoining 6th. Herbert 5th. Herbert, whose results this season have been 4th, 6th, 5th, 6th, and then he had his retirement in Phoenix. He could be on for another top 5 result. And I imagine that's put all the top teams on high alert for next season. Any spare spots in a top team, Williams, Ferrari, McLaren, Lotus, maybe, they'll all be looking at the Benetton driver of Johnny Herbert. As that's Nannini now up the inside of Martini. That's for position. Nannini up to 12th, although miles behind where he was before he made that mistake. This will be a welcome return to the top step of the podium for Senna if he can pull off the victory. Over the last few laps, he's extended his lead over second place Boutsen. It's 3.3 seconds now between the top two in the race. Patrese 21 seconds off the lead in third. Mansell 27 seconds adrift in fourth place. Herbert almost a minute down. Piquet is a minute down. And Eddie Cheever in seventh place, the final driver on the lead lap. And Mansell has just stopped. He's just rejoined behind Johnny Herbert. So it's fourth place for Herbert, fifth place for Mansell. The two British drivers going wheel to wheel. And down the main straight, Mansell might have a run here. But the Zach speed is in the way of both of them. Schneider parking it on the inside for turn one. Is that allowing Mansell to go around the outside? Well, it is. Just about. But Mansell has lost a bit of time there. And Herbert boxes at the end of lap 45 anyway. So Mansell back up to fourth place. We don't get to see that fight on track, unfortunately. And that's the LaRousse of Philippe Alliot parked up at the side of the circuit. You might have just seen it briefly. Not captured on the TV cameras. There was a puncture that saw the Frenchman out of the race. So I believe that is now 7 retirements from this Grand Prix. It is. So Schneider running in 19th. He's the final driver who's in the classified positions right now. And it's going to be a double Brabham retirement. And I think it's going to be the same issue for both cars. Stefano Modena, he was not really challenging for a great position. I think he was 11th. In fact, 10th at the moment. But I do think he had another stop to make. He's going to be out of this Grand Prix. And that is a double Brabham failure for the first time this year. And here are the standings on lap 53 out of 69. Senna leads Boutsen by 5 seconds. Both drivers going to the end of the race. Patrese comfortably in third position. Right now, he'll hold on and extend even his championship lead. Nigel Mansell in fourth, then it's Piquet and Herbert completing the point scorers. I'm surprised Nelson Piquet is actually ahead of Johnny Herbert, because I was pretty certain he was behind him for most of the race. Maybe Piquet still has another stop to make. Cheever, Alesi, Warwick and Nannini completing the top 10, followed by Martini and Maurizio Gougelmin. And 13th place for Capelli, he's ahead of Palmer, Parisella, Gachot, Bernard and Schneider. So 18 drivers left in the Grand Prix. Some out-of-universe comments. Jake from GP Laps has just released a force feedback mod sort of thing for GP2. He did one for the IndyCar Racing 2 game a few weeks ago or a month ago or so. And he's made one now for GP2. It's available to test. And I really want to test it. But of course, I'm not driving as Franz Bermbach at the moment. So maybe I won't really get around to testing that for a while. Until Bermbach's back in the car. Then maybe I can give it a go. I'm reluctant to really try force feedback with many games. I only really run force feedback on iRacing. And that's about it. Even the modern F1 games, I run no force feedback because I just don't like the feeling of it. Maybe I don't really care about the immersion in that side of things. I just want to feel comfortable driving the car. and I've always felt comfortable without force feedback. Maybe it's because I've spent so much time playing games where force feedback really isn't an option, or really isn't that well made. F1 Challenge, for example, there is force feedback, but I don't use it because I don't find any benefit in using it. GP2, of course, I've played it a lot this year. There is no force feedback in the base game. Of course there isn't. It came out in 1996, and I'm very comfortable driving the cars without it. So, me personally, it's not something that's a huge factor in making me want to play a game, or maybe wanting to try out a game. But it's there as an option, and I'm interested in trying it. Also, I have to apologise for missing a week of uploads. My plan with this channel is Monday I want to upload the F1 Challenge career, Friday I want to upload the GP2 career, and Wednesday would be for something else. I do plan on playing after the rally series is concluded. I want to try out IndyCar Racing 2 and race through a full season on that, so that'll probably be the Wednesday upload for the coming months. But I did miss last week because I was moving into a new office, so that took priority. Along with a few other busy days, so I've not really had time. So I've just essentially delayed everything by a week. It took PK a while to sort of get into the groove of things this year. He's a 3-time world champion, we know what he's capable of. But 2 retirements from the first 2 races, then a 7th place at Monaco has then led into 2 points positions back-to-back. He's on for 3 points places back-to-back. Of course, he's the only Lotus driver to score points this season. Nakajima got dropped after the first 3 rounds. And Donnelly, although making a really good impression on his first run out in the 4th round of the season at Mexico with a 7th place finish, he had that troublesome Phoenix race, and today has not really been a factor in the top 10 up to his retirement from the race. That being said, I think Donnelly has a really promising career ahead of him in Formula 1. He has made a solid start, and I imagine Lotus, if he sees out this season with Lotus, will want to keep him with the team for 1990 and maybe even beyond that. We'll see. Mansell almost a lap down now on the race leader as we look at Riccardo Patrese, 30 seconds off the lead. It will be his first 3rd place finish of the season. He's finished 1st, he's finished 2nd twice, he's about to finish 3rd as well. Oh, and that might be game over for Alessandro Nannini. It is. That's a transmission issue for Nannini, which puts an end to his very poor race. He had that spin earlier on after battling for a top 5 place, and it's really not looked well since, with the Italian retiring here on lap 62. And it's a double LaRousse retirement as well. That's, is that Alio? I assume that's the other one. Or is it Bernard? I can't remember who retired at the start. It's Eric Bernard retiring now on the exit the hairpin with a loose wheel. After reports of Senna being furious with his team and looking elsewhere, he's not put a foot wrong today. Ayrton Senna will round the final corner for the final time to record his 2nd finish of the season and his 2nd victory. He wins the 1989 Canadian Grand Prix. As Boutsen rounds the final corner, it's going to be 2nd place for Thierry Boutsen, his 3rd podium of the year. So congratulations to Ayrton Senna with that victory today. There was 4 drivers on the lead lap by the end, Patrese completing the podium in 3rd place. He's of course still the championship leader. Nigel Mansell should move above Prost in the championship with that result here today. PK and Herbert in the points yet again. I can't believe Herbert's brilliant start here. Absolutely fantastic. Eddie Cheever made great progress during that race as well. After starting all the way down in 19th position, he finishes in 9th. We had 16 drivers reach the checker flag, and that's Bernd Schneider and Zach Speed's first recorded finish of the year. It puts Schneider ahead of a few of the other drivers who have actually completed races this season, including Alex Caffey, Andrea De Cesaris and Stefan Johansson. Speaking of Johansson, that's his 6th retirement in a row, but that's not the biggest one of all. Alain Prost, loose wheel, saw him out the race. He got pole position, he got the fastest lap, but no points here for the Frenchman. Let's see what it means for the Drivers' Championship. Well, it means that Patrese is now 5 points clear from Mansell, who's now in 2nd place. Prost shuffled down to 3rd. Then it's Berger, Senna and Boutsen, so Senna climbing 2 places up into 5th place. He's tied now with the Ferrari Gerhard Berger. Cheever there in 7th ahead of Herbert, who scores more points today. PK also scores more points and climbs up the championship standings a little bit. Alesi, Nannini, Palmer and Warwick completing the point scorers for this season. In the Constructors' Championship, we now have Williams Renault in the lead, ahead of Ferrari, McLaren closing the gap with Arrows, Benetton and Lotus now in 6th place. So Lotus moving up a position there. And it means that Tyrrell shuffled down to 7th place in the championship. Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And I'll see you all next week for the French Grand Prix. Goodbye.